Okay, let's look at what a callback function is by first grasping the idea of a callback. Callback is basically an instruction to be done later in time. For instance, let's say that yellow smiley wants blue smiley to call her when he finds out the price of toilet paper once he gets to the grocery store. This instruction to call her is an instruction that blue smiley will do later. This is very similar to callback functions. Callback is not something you do right now, but it's something you do later. While Blue Smiley is on his way to the grocery store, he won't call Yellow Smiley. That's because he hasn't arrived to the grocery store and hasn't checked the price yet. When Blue Smiley arrives at the grocery store and checks the price of toilet paper, he will then call Yellow Smiley and tell her the price. This is very similar to executing a callback function. So let's look at a sample code of what we just saw. Okay, let's say Blue Smiley is a function that can go to the grocery store and find the price of toilet paper. Okay, we call this do something at supermarket. Okay, this function goes to the supermarket, finds the price, and it gets that price as the return value, and it is assigned to a variable called price. And then we call this function called action right here. And this function called action is being passed through the parameter here. As weird as it sounds, yes, we can pass functions through our parameters. And let's look at how we can do that. Yellow Smiley will call the function called do something at supermarket right here. And she's gonna pass her function call me through this parameter here. And call me is just a function that takes price as a parameter and console logs out the price. Okay, the thing to watch out for is that we only want to pass the name of the function and we don't want to put brackets after call me. If you put brackets after the function, that means you're executing the instruction right now. That means you're already executing call me when you pass it to do something at supermarket. So if you do this, Blue Smiley will no longer be able to perform his instruction later because it's already been executed. So don't do this, just pass call me as it is. Okay. So we pass in this call me function through a parameter without the brackets, and do something at supermarket receives it as a parameter here. Okay. Call me is what we call a callback function. It's being passed through the parameter and it is being invoked later on. Okay. Callback function is something that is going to be passed as a parameter and will be invoked later in time in some instruction or function. In this case, after Blue Smiley finds the toilet paper price. Okay, so what happens when we execute do something at supermarket with call me in the parameter? Well, Blue Smiley is now at the supermarket and he's now finding out the price. And when Blue Smiley found out the price, he will now call Yellow Smiley. He is executing callback function right now. Since Blue Smiley found out the price is $4, he's gonna pass $4 into the parameter in this function called action, which in our case is call me. Okay, and call me is gonna receive $4 into the parameter, and it's gonna console log $4 on our console. The benefit of a callback function is that we can pass in any instruction we want. So let's look at another example where our callback function is slightly different than the previous one. So now, yellow wants blue to buy toilet paper if it's less than $3.50. Otherwise, she doesn't want him to buy it. So we pass in our function, which is buy here, in our do something at supermarket. Notice how the function for do something at supermarket here hasn't changed one bit. All this function is going to do is take in whatever the instruction or callback it receives through action, and it invokes it whenever it is called, which is, in our case, right after Blue Smiley finds out the price. We can look at another example of a callback function where if the price of toilet paper is less than $3.50, then let's just buy 2. And if not, let's just buy 1. So we do the same thing. We invoke do something at supermarket. We pass in our function buy, and do something at supermarket is still the same function. Hasn't changed one bit. And its task is just go to the supermarket, find the price, and execute the callback function, which in our case is the new version of buy. Okay, so summary of a callback function. Callback function is meant to be invoked after something is done in a function. It is going to be passed through the parameter. We just saw 3 examples. And an advantage of a callback is that you can have different instructions after a series of instructions, like we saw for our do something at supermarket, where you have set of the same instructions like go to the supermarket and find the price, but after that, you can pass in any instruction you want, do something at supermarket to invoke. Okay, so that is it for callback functions. Thank you for watching.